This coin, well, it surprised everyone. Back in April of this year, a 1963 Lincoln cent graded MS65RD shot past expectations, hammering at $2,800 in a Cleveland auction. Yes, almost 3 grand for a penny. Now, I know what you're thinking. How can this be worth thousands? See the problem here? It's not just any red-brown Lincoln we're talking about. What's wild is that at first glance, you'd swear it's everyday pocket change. But look again. Here's exactly what to look for. First up, that glorious red issue. In mid-1963, the mint was still striking deep red bronzes, and a true gem MS65RD will have that glossy, almost copper-like sheen. Tilt it under a lamp, see how the light dances? That's your first clue. But most folks miss this detail, and it makes all the difference. Second, you'll want to check the strike on Lincoln's cheekbones. On quality pieces, there's a crisp, sharp line from jaw to ear. No softening, no blurring. Hold the coin so that "In God We Trust" grazes your eyebrow. If those letters appear full-bodied and bold, you're on the right track. If they're weak, you're looking a lower grade, maybe AU or even XF. And then collectors notice something odd. On some MS specimens, a faint doubling shows around the date and mint mark. It's subtle. Many miss it entirely. But spot that, and you've found a semi-key error that can bump value another few $100s. Now, authentication warnings. Here's where you don't want to slip up. In the last year, there's been a bump in dipped and artificially recolored reds. They shine under bright light, but run them under UV. True reds won't fluorescent glow like a fresh repaint. And if you see unnatural streaks or overly glossy surfaces, raise the flag. That coin seemed more acid than any collector would dare. You'd think a penny couldn't feel pain, but man, some of these treatments leave scars visible under magnification. Let me tell you about Mary, a collector I met at a regional show last spring. She pulled out a small Ziploc bag. 1963 cents, circulated, some even bent. "I've been told they're all brown, worth face," she said. But she's got that collector's gut, knows something's hiding. We glanced at the tops one by one, and on the 8th, bam, a near-uncirculated red, perfect strike, no blemishes. She nearly dropped her coffee. We ended up chatting over lunchtime about piece GS versus NGC holders and how to spot repatriated errors. What's more, that discovery scenario, finding a gem in a stack of what looked like trash, that's the thrill we're chasing. Let's break down value across conditions. In average circulated grades, say VG8 to XF40, you're looking at a dime to 50 cents a piece. Nothing to write home about, but not worthless either. And these are common. Millions minted, millions spent. In about uncirculated, AU50 to AU58, values climb to a couple of dollars. Maybe 5 if the eye appeal is strong. But in uncirculated grades, MS60, brown typically $10 to $15. MS63, brown $20 to $30. MS63, red $80 to $120. MS65, red $500 to $700. MS66, red pushing $1,500 and up. Of course, each auction's different. That MS65RD I mentioned smashed records in April 12th to be exact, selling for $2,800, far above the catalog median. Market trend? Reds in MS63 and above are on a steady climb. 10 years ago, MS63RD might fetch $60. Now you're looking at double. But browns? They're holding steady, even slipping slightly as collectors chase the pop-up red premium. Here's what you never hear about. The 1963 double die obverse is a thing. Yes, extremely rare, but it exists. Only a handful certified. If you catch sight of a faint shadow doubling on Liberty or the date, you stop in your tracks. Roughly 10 known examples. If one turns up, expect six-figure territory. That's pennies for pennies, right? You'll want to check your collection for this, literally. Grab a loop and skin every 1963 you've got. Look at the date under 5x magnification. Don't dismiss a slightly off-color one. Sometimes that's the only hint of doubling. And if you suspect it, photograph it and send it in for grading. Worst case, you get a neat slab and proof of concept. Best case, you're sitting on a numismatic unicorn. So what's common? Standard red-brown specimens graded MS6 3RB sell for around $30 to $50, depending on eye appeal. Nothing earth-shattering, but still above face. Uncirculated browns in MS60 to MS63 trade in the teens. And true reds under MS64? They're your sweet spot, affordable gems with room to grow. Now, I know what you're thinking, will these values hold? Well, market context shows reds have outperformed browns by 25% over the last 5 years. That said, they're not skyrocketing overnight. Steady, measured appreciation as collectors hunt crease-free, glossy pieces. If you're patient, reds are a play you won't regret. Here's exactly what to look for one more time. Color, deep, uniform red. Strike, sharp cheekbone, clear in God we trust. And watch for that ghost of doubling around the date. And remember, natural toning and light bag marks are fine. Overly pristine could mean chemical enhancement. One surprising detail. Some mint workers in 63 slightly adjusted the pressure on certain presses, causing a subset of cents with a notably broader, flatter rim. These wide rim reds fetch a premium, around 20% above standard. They're easy to miss because the difference is under a millimeter. But once you know, you can spot them instantly. So, take a moment, sift through that jar of pennies. What if your next face value find is someone's MS65 cherry red? That thrill, that sudden shift from dime a dozen to high roller piece. Well, that's why we collect. And now, having teased what a single penny from 63 can do, let's slide right into another surprising contender, the 1979 Lincoln cent. And trust me, this one packs its own punch. Late May of this year, at a New York auction, a pristine 1979 penny in MS66RD blew past estimates, hammering for $1,950. That's right, a $2 coin fetching nearly $2,000. You wouldn't expect that, would you? But here's the thing. Under that familiar copper glow lies something collectors can't resist. At first glance, a 79-cent seems ordinary. But here's exactly what to look for. Start with the luster. You know that mirror-like sheen you see on uncirculated coins? Most 1979s display a reddish-brown patina by now, natural oxidation kicking in over 40-plus years. But spot a coin that gleams like fresh stock, reflecting light evenly across Lincoln's bust, and hold on tight. That intense red luster is your first red flag, in a good way. Then, check the field around the date for those little wisps of raised metal. It's called die polishing lines, and they're like fingerprints of the minting process. On high-grade 79S, those lines appear as fine, parallel striations, no smudges, no breaks. You'll want to tilt the coin about 20 degrees. If you see a silky, almost watery background behind Lincoln's silhouette, you're on to something special. Now, I know what you're thinking. Are these lines just surface scratches? No, they're intrinsic to how the die was prepared. And genuine ones boost desirability. Here's exactly what to look for also, the mint mark. Philly's issues from 79 don't have an S or D. So if you spy a cent with an odd below the bust, you've got an error, someone misattributed, or worse, counterfeited. Fake mint marks on circulation strikes are a rising problem. They're heat-tamped, and when you check under magnification,